What's up, everybody? Trad West Podcast back with another video. Well, the big, beautiful bill has passed. Don't know what you think of it, but a lot of the people that I disagree with are pissed off about it. So, overall, I don't have a problem with it passing. Now, let me explain. I am not a fan of these big omnibus bills in general. And there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't agree with. But there's some wins in there. There's some wins in there, and I'm going to go over one of them in particular. But I think bills should get brought in Congress one one thing at a time. You can't just load these big omnibus bills. This is how the deep state and get away with funding for dumb crap because they know no one would vote for it if it wasn't included in there with everyone else. Rep. Thomas Massey explains this in pretty good detail, where almost every single omnibus bill has a pay increase for the military or something like that. So if you vote against it, they can easily just say, "Oh, what's wrong? You hate the military? You don't think the servicemen and women should get a pay raise?" And that type of stuff is just crooked, and I think it should be gotten rid of. They'll never do it, but I don't agree with these big omnibus bills. So I can see why people wouldn't like it. Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, they're the few Republicans that usually vote against this type of stuff because of all, they actually read the bills, which most members of Congress don't, because they're thousands of pages. And it'll include dumb stuff in there and dumb funding, and they are very worried about the deficit. So this is where I will, you know, push back on Trump a little because he's out there like, I'm the biggest fiscal hawk, but we need to get this passed. If you're a fiscal hawk, you wouldn't be doing this needless spending. Hey, me, a crypto holder and Bitcoin believer, it helps me out because the more money they print, the more they devalue the dollar, and the more assets like Bitcoin, real estate, what have you, can go up in price. But it's not good for the US dollar. It's not good for inflation to just constantly be printing money. So, one of the big wins, well, let's talk a little bit about the taxes first. There was the no tax on tips, although kind of underwhelming, if I'm going to be honest. I don't work for tips, but I was fine with them uh, having that measure where you get no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Underwhelming because there's like a cutoff where if you make, I have no problem with them having the cutoff if you make like over $160,000 a year. Maybe you don't qualify because you're making plenty of money at that point. But it's only like $25,000 worth that you can claim as deductions. Um, Period from what I saw, and then the overtime was $12,500. So you know, it's something. I never hate on tax breaks. There's people out there complaining like Matt Walsh. Why should people that work for tips get special treatment? Hey, my more libertarian side, taxation's theft. I don't care who they give the tax cuts to. I'm pro tax cuts across the board, even for rich people, because if you want it to be a level playing field, we should all be just paying a flat tax. My personal opinion is on it. If you got to have the taxes, it should be a flat tax, and you should get to pick the programs that you want your tax dollars to go toward. Therefore, if there's an unpopular program that people don't want to put their tax dollars toward, it will just wither away and fall by the wayside. Only support programs that the people agree with and want to make sure are funded. So that's one of my beliefs on taxes. It also does tax cuts. A lot of conflicting information out there. You got the people on the left that hate Trump. That's like, oh, it's gonna increase taxes on the poor and stuff like that. Not really true. But then I saw some guy arguing, oh, if you make less than $17,000 a year, you're gonna have to be paying more in tax or something. And you know what? Call me cold hearted, but my response to him was, what the hell are you doing if you're only making $17,000 a year? Trying to leech off the government? And then his rebuttal to me was like, exactly. So you didn't read the bill and know what's in it. So you're just admitting you're trying to leech off the government? Government's not your daddy. Go get a fucking job. And all these people complaining about Medicaid cuts and that. It's not like, ooh, poor old woman who's of retiree age and needs her Medicare isn't going to be able to get it now. No, there's a lot of able-bodied young people, mainly these crazies like on the left, who technically got told they have disabilities when they're completely able-bodied and they're just mentally fucked in the head, unstable. They got anxiety and they call it a disability. And they just want to sit around, not work, and collect money from the government. It's trying to make those people get out there and get a damn job. Now, let's talk about one of the most important W's in this bill, which is some defunding of Planned Parenthood. W babies. So, we're just going to read a little bit of this, but the spending package the Senate passed today includes a 1-year block on Medicaid reimbursements to nonprofit abortion providers like Planned Parenthood, which critics say threatens to leave millions of low-income Americans without access to essential reproductive health care. A federal law already prevents Medicaid funds from paying for abortions, except in cases of rape, incest, or life endangerment. Nope. These cuts and blocks instead target the clinics themselves, which offer other forms of routine health care, including contraceptives, STI testing, and cancer screening. Supporters of the bill argue that the federal funding going toward providers like Planned Parenthood indirectly subsidize abortions. That's true. One Big Beautiful Bill Act that stops forced taxpayer funding of abortion industry has been retained in the Senate bill. Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America's president. Marjorie Dansfelser. Taxpayers should never be forced to funnel their hard-earned dollars to big abortion. I agree. If you guys all want to support Planned Parenthood, go and donate your hard-earned money yourselves. If you believe abortion is health care, you can go ahead and just choose to donate your hard-earned money, and then they'll be available to do it. I'm already seeing the Planned Parenthood commercials, like you see the donate to save animals commercials. Me and my fiance were watching TV the other day. Planned Parenthood got the QR code on there asking for dollars because the big beautiful bill is cutting a bunch of their funding. I have no problem with it. I'm not saying Planned Parenthood can't exist, even though I don't agree with a lot of their practice, what they do. They do at least like 400,000 abortions a year. And no, they're lying when they say, oh, it's only in rare cases. That used to be their standard. It's not anymore. These people are out here demented, degenerates, getting abortions left and right. And I don't agree with that. I think it's terrible. I think it's demonic. And so I have no problem with abortion being unfunded, defunded. All it's saying is you can't collect money from the government for it. Again, my tax plan would go with this. Okay, you get a flat tax, you choose what programs your taxes go to. All the abortion lovers can choose Planned Parenthood, and then their taxes can go toward it. And then people like me who are against it, we don't want to fund it. But hey, you're free to donate, people. You're free to donate. Free to donate your hard-earned money. So, on the abortion issue, you know, I was going to say we've come a long way, but we actually gone back. We used to be a proper country, okay? There was an Arnold Schwarzenegger marathon, I think Friday or 4th of July weekend, and the movie The Running Man, 1987 film was on. And I don't think my fiance had seen it. I was like, "Ooh, Running Man." We put it on. And there was a clip I'm gonna play, a scene from that movie, that even me and my fiance both looked at each other and we just, like, laughed, like, "Oh my gosh." And this is post-sexual revolution, 1987, and it was still, like, frowned upon being super promiscuous. And we've gone so far and gotten so degenerate that these numbers are gonna make you laugh, because we even laugh. But this ties into now we have people left and right, just degenerate, unprotected sex, because they'll just go get an abortion. They don't wanna deal with the consequences of their actions. This is my problem with there's too many forms of birth control, or you could just, be abstinent. That's the most powerful version. But there's too many forms of birth control, and the point of sex is potentially leading to a baby. For whatever reason, and I don't understand the logic how people can't get this, they think just because they consented to sex, they didn't consent to a baby. You're wrong. That's literally the purpose of sex. It's not for your pleasure, okay? It was made pleasurable to incentivize people to have sex, therefore to keep the population going and the species surviving. If it was painful, people wouldn't do it. The species might not survive. So, people have it twisted now. For some reason, they don't think the purpose of sex is pregnancy. They just think it's for your own personal gratification and pleasure. No. You have sex, you have a potential to have a baby. So if that happens, man up and take care of that baby. We have too many people like, I didn't consent to a baby. Yes, you did. The second you opened your legs, ladies, you did. Have I done it in the past and wasn't planning on having a baby? Yeah. But guess what? If I would have got a girl pregnant, I would have manned up and given that baby everything I had for it to have a great life. Not take the easy way out and murder it. Because that's what it is. So let me play this clip. See if you guys get a kick out of it as much as we did. So this is an 87, spoilers if you haven't seen it. The movie's been out long enough, you should have seen it. But this is an 87 film, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they got kind of this contestant where it's a bunch of like old people in the crowd and they just eat it up because they act like these contestants are like evil criminals, murderers. And it's kind of like, oh, American Gladiators, but the gladiators like are supposed to be like killing the contestants. So basically they frame Arnold and these guys, they're not really, murderers and guilty. But then this woman was found pulling the proof of him being innocent, and they doctored the evidence. So they throw her in there and then listen to the allegations they put on her, and people gasp like it's just so bad. So that was the part that I wanted y'all to hear. Her crime was She had sex with 2 to 3 men a year. And me and my fiance both looked at each other and laughed because I'm like, holy crap. Like, girls today, they're doing that in a week easy in college. Sometimes the freakier ones in a day. And that's how bad it's gotten, we'll say. Some of you might say, that's not bad, but come on. Like, we used to be a proper country where 2 to 3 sexual partners in a year was degenerate and terrible. Now that's an easy week in college or an easy day for some people, and you're touted. It's touted as a good thing. And then you just, you get pregnant, you just go get an abortion. No personal accountability or responsibility at all. So I just thought that clip, good movie. If you want to go check it out, 87 film, The Running Man. But I found that hilarious because, oh wow, three sexual partners in a year. Man, the audacity. The audacity of that woman. If only we could turn back time. Turn back time and bring us back to those days. Man. So, I'm happy all the demented abortion people are upset. You know, I think I talked about this on a podcast before. I did one on abortion, but college actually, I'll retell the story. College actually made me more pro-life because, if you just listen to the propaganda, they just tell you, oh, safe, legal, only when the woman's in danger or rape or incest. Rare circumstances. That's the lie they feed you. The lie they feed you. Only if the mother's life's in danger, rape or incest. And there's a lot of like conservative type people that would actually, if that were true, they would kind of be okay with it. But it's just not true. It's just false. They're lying. And when I was in college, I think it was an ethics class. It was given a scenario, real life scenario that happened, and you would decide if it was ethical or not. And I didn't realize this, but it was a couple that there was a high probability the child was going to be born with Down syndrome. So they had to decide if they were going to abort it or not. And I was like confused at first because I'm like, what? It might have Down syndrome? And even if it definitely was going to have Down syndrome, if they could somehow tell that, I don't trust that they 100% know. I would say if they know, they could say it's a high probability. But you're telling me just because the baby might have Down syndrome, you can just abort it. And I'm not a very emotional person, but I got a little teary-eyed reading that. I've known several people with Down syndrome in my life. I've worked multiple Special Olympics events throughout my high school, playing football, the sports team, when I was in the military, Special Olympics events. Had athletes in the Special Olympics with Down syndrome. Some of them very athletic, by the way, and some of the sweetest, kindest people I've ever met. And you're telling me, nah, inconvenient, so just murder it, end their life. No way. No way. I was disgusted by it. And you got these people out here bragging about their abortions. And they're doing it to completely healthy babies, too. But that made me like completely pro-life. I always, morality side is with the pro-life people. Every pro-choice argument is just stupid. It just takes away any personal accountability and responsibility. Like I talked about before, you have sex, there's a chance you're going to get pregnant. Deal with it. That's the purpose of sex. So that made me more pro-life. And then listening to just the arguments made by pro-choice people, they're asinine, they're stupid. But these people brag about it. I can't tell you how many videos. I'm not going to pull it up because they're like, it's demonic to watch women bragging about their abortions. It's crazy. So W life, W babies, with Planned Parenthood not getting federal money anymore. Maybe that's going to save a lot of lives. Maybe they'll just be able to raise enough because there's enough loons out there that support it. But the problem is, most of them ain't going to want to put their own money where their mouth is. They won't be down to just donate. They won't. They need it forced. It's just like when Obamacare came out. Was not sustainable unless they forced people. If you didn't have health insurance, Obamacare would penalize you come tax time. You'd get charged hundreds of dollars because you didn't sign up for Obamacare. Because if you're not signed up, they ain't going to have enough money. If they don't force you into these government-run programs, they will run out of money. Same thing we talked about. I know a lot of people like Social Security. It's a Ponzi scheme. If they didn't force you to put money off your paycheck into Social Security, it would wither away and die. And it might still wither away and die. It's a giant Ponzi. Government should not be involved in this. They should not be forcing you to pay money into these programs. It should be on your own choice. You're someone who's not good at investing, you're not good at saving. Okay, I'll let the government take money out of my paycheck so I might be covered later on in life. Some of us who are, actually do our due diligence, look into investing, look into saving, worry about our future. We'd like that hard-earned money to invest ourselves, not forced to give it away. Because let's face it, some people ain't even going to make it to the age. That's what makes it a Ponzi scheme, too. Some people ain't even going to make it to the age where they can collect their Social Security. And you're forcing them to pay into it their whole life. Like when it first came out, not to delve too much into this because I did a whole podcast episode on that, too. When it first came out, I think the average lifespan was only like 2 years later than the age you could start collecting. What? Ooh, I get to collect money for 2 years that I paid into my entire life. And then I might die. The government gets the rest. So, what do you guys think of the big, beautiful bill? I didn't go too in depth on everything it covers. Just a couple of the minor tax stuff. Again, taxation's theft. I'm okay with taxes being cut across the board, no matter who's benefiting. And then W babies, Planned Parenthood people are in an outraged. But that's a W, baby. Are you tired of winning? Are you tired of winning? So make sure you like, follow, subscribe at Trad West Podcast on all platforms. Till next time, Trad West Podcast out.